What is going on, guys? This is FXDLS Brooklyn, and as you can see, we are out here in the Brooklyn dungeon. And as you can see, we got a special guest with us today. It's been a while since we've been on the 2001 FXDX, so we are gonna get into some FXDX miles today, so come along with us because this one is gonna be one not to miss. There you go, 2001 FXDX does not get much classier than that. So again, we got to give major shout out to none other than Peter Guns. That is the man who built this bike. So in many ways, I am preserving New York City bike life history here by keeping this bike and having done minimal changes to it. But yeah, y'all, a lot of you followed me back like 5 years ago when I first bought this bike, and a lot of you in the comments are saying, hey, you know, what's going on with that FXDX, one of the best Dynas ever made? And well, here it is. Figured today would be a good day to rip on this bike. So yeah, you know, we'll get that startup going, but you know, give you a quick little rundown of some of the key features of this bike. You know, number one, you got that Fab 28 Peter Guns special exhaust. You got your cursed luck is a lie swing arm sticker. Of course, you got your Olean suspension. You know, of course, you got this glorious, glorious paint job, which I don't show this up too close, but as you can see, this is a very, very intricate paint job with these roses etched in here, root beer, flake. The Moon's MC waterproof bar bag, by far the best bar bag I have ever run. This thing is so spacious. Like I said, keeps everything dry, like your camera equipment, this or that. So not only that, but of course, you got the Moon's MC Fly Eye V2, the brightest headlight in the game. This thing rips as well as their light bar. But BK Low, how bright is it? Hell yeah. You know what I mean? It's the combination of those little LED rings as well as that light bar, as well as that Fly Eye V2, that this thing is like Christmas coming down the highway, man. If you want to be seen and you want to be able to see well, go with none other than Moon's MC. Of course, those turquoise flames, you either love it or you hate it. Obviously, I love it. Only a genius like Peter Guns could think of something like this, but if it's from New York, it's gotta have flames. And of course, this is the Bushwick bike. That has been the neighborhood I've lived in for my entire adult life here in Brooklyn. And that is what is going on. There's a lot of other little intricacies to this bike as well. You know, like you got your Moon's MC foot controls down here. I love these. You know, you got your little flare from Indian Larry, this and that. Most importantly, for a day like today, you have your line for heated gear because it is in the low 40s. So we're going to be running heated gear today. Oh, but I know what you want. You want that startup action. No problem. We could oblige you on that one. Of course, there is a key. Of course, there is a choke. The future will be carbureted. Ho ho ho. Little sketchy there. For a second, I thought I was going to be taken out by a Harley-Davidson battery pack to get this thing back going. That was a sketchy start, but it's all good. This is one bike that no matter what, always seems to come through for me, even when things get real sketchy. Hell yeah, brother. Plug in our heated gear. Oh, there's way more cord than I needed. Jenny was using this last. A beautiful morning out here in New York City. If you want to put your riding skill to the test, come out to what I'm on right now, which is none other than the Jackie Robinson Parkway, or Highway, or whatever it is. It used to be called the Interborough. But let me tell you, this definitely ranks up there in one of New York City's sketchiest roads. But yeah, I mean, one of which is this little tunnel right here with this hairpin turn. Every time I see an accident over here, 90% of the time, it's with out-of-state plates, which makes sense. And hey, I've been cross-country, coast to coast and back many times, which is why I can hands down tell you that here in New York, we hands down have the worst riding conditions within the entire country. And again, I put in the seat time and the miles to say that. But anyway, we are digressing. I am on the ancient glory, the 2001 FXDX, a bike that hit pretty hard on my channel about 5 years ago. You know, the comments rolled in of the amount of people that I went on to quote unquote influence to buy this bike or go out there and look for this bike. And basically what happened is the combination of my 124 Dyna being built, as well as the Lowrider ST coming out, this bike kind of faded into the background, you know? So, yeah, it had not been as prevalent on my channel, you know, the last few years, I'll say that. But anyway, you know, especially these days where I own a Road Glide, you know, and I'm splitting my miles between a Road Glide, a Lowrider ST, and a 2016 Dyna Lowrider S. When I hop onto this bike, which again, we're going over 2 decades old at this point, it feels like the entire thing is just falling apart. It's so sketchy, but in a good way, in a way that makes it a really fun bike to ride, you know? Like, come on. It's also, you know, the last bike I rode before this, when I swapped it out, was my Road Glide. So to now be on this bike, it legitimately feels like I'm riding a Sportster right now. If you told me I was on a Sportster, I would believe you. That's what it feels like. But like I said before, this is a very special bike. Those of you who have followed my journey know why. So one of my earliest mentors in the game out here when it comes down to building a true New York City performance bike was Peter Guns, him along with Sal, Austin. Those were the guys and the bikes that when I was going to the block party over 10 years ago, the bikes that I was taking notes on and I was sweating, trying to hatch my plans of what my builds would begin to look like. Now, over a decade later, I have my own garage coming through with my own heat, and I'll be the first to pay respect where respect is due, and I cannot be as clear as to say that the influence between so many, well, all of my builds was really the OGs that came before me here in New York City. So to have this bike that was built by one of them, which was one of the bikes that I would see at the block party, and really it would provide a lot of inspiration for me to then have the opportunity to buy this bike about 5 years ago and still be actively riding it, is part of the reason why, even though it doesn't get ridden as much as it should, I hold on to it. You know, it really is at this point kind of feeling like some New York legacy, similar to how Fred, if you've seen him on some of my previous videos, bought Frankie Hardrider's FXR. These are bikes that really do deserve a place in the history of the New York City custom bike scene, and to be able to not only preserve but enjoy that and do what it was designed to do, which was slay these streets, is of the highest honor, man, still. So I've kicked the idea back and forth because, like I said, with the Lowrider ST and with the Road Glide and with my dad doing so many Pan America miles, this bike really just has not been ridden to the amount that it should. It's still under 30,000 miles, which is insane. You know, my Dyna Lowrider S is about to hit 70,000 miles. But anyway, we did kick around the idea of selling it because it, you know, just because it wasn't getting ridden, you know. But again, the fact that, again, the ride itself, it just provides such an amazing experience. There is no other bike out there like these early year Dyna Superglide, Superglide Sports. You know, 2000 to 2002 was that magic year, and there's just nothing out there like it, you know, especially with it being carbureted, the feedback you get, the throttle response, and just the overall experience, where I'll be the first to tell you that my 124 Dyna, my Lowrider ST, my Road Glide, all those bikes are going to outperform this bike 100% in every possibility, which is just power, handling, stopping power, all that. They will all outperform this bike. I'll be the first to tell you. But like I said, the experience that you get and how fun these bikes are to ride and how good they do in a tight urban situation like New York City is a big reason of why I hold on to it. It's just practicality-wise, besides it just being a bike that even when strangers see it, puts a smile on their face, I continue to hold on to. But also, like I said, it does have a place in New York City history. And also, you know, he'd probably kill me for saying this publicly, but, you know, I do notice as my dad is getting older, he's really opting for not so much his heavy ultra classic, but bikes that are lighter. So he's hopping on his Pan America, and this is a way lighter bike that I've seen him really enjoy himself on. So, you know, if my dad's knees are bothering him, this bike, again, feels like a Sportster. So this is a really good option for, again, someone who might want a lighter bike. So, yeah. But, again, almost 5 years later, the experience of ripping on a Dyna FXDX is next to none, man. Next to none. And as you can see, you know, I've kept it mostly the same as when we picked it up about 5 years ago, you know? I haven't really done anything because, like I said, there's an element of this bike which is about preserving it, you know, and preserving the history, preserving what was a blueprint for me to figure out my own way when it came down to building a custom performance Harley Davidson. So there is that aspect to this bike. But yeah, I mean, that's what this bike excels in, you know? It handles great. It's super light, especially for the city and the urban environment. And like I said, we're 2 decades later and the bike is still absolutely ripping. So you could find these days, especially with the Lowrider S's and the Lowrider STs and the Milwaukee 8s really getting dialed in within the custom performance scene. You could get these bikes these days for a pretty good price, and that's not just stock, but that's fully dialed in. Actually, to find one of these clean at stock, such as my brother, Old Man Armstrong, you'd probably be paying for that. That's actually probably more desired at this point because these bikes are getting so old that they're starting to enter the legacy, almost FXR-like status. Again, they're becoming that almost antique Harley Davidson, going on almost 3 decades old at this point. But yeah, I'm also experimenting with a different style video here, so I don't know if I'd call this a moto vlog given the amount of different angles I'm throwing at you and the amount of cuts and this and that, but I myself have been going on 10 years now as a content creator, and I'm just trying to enjoy mixing it up. So if you guys like the format of what I'm doing in this video, where it's kind of a moto vlog, a little bit more than that, you guys let me know, because a lot of the feedback I have gotten is that people do still want, along with the cinematic content, some moto vlogs or moto vlog style videos still mixed in. So I think this is a little experimentation of trying to find a cross between the two, and of course keeping it FXDLS Brooklyn. But yeah, if you want to know, besides just the fact that I'm riding this bike right now, where I'm going, I'm actually riding to a cursed ride that is meeting up in Long Island. You know, it's going to be a good one. I'm sure I'll probably post that ride after this. For that ride, you know, speaking of us talking about this bike and the Dyna FXDX, I definitely am going to swap this bike out at the road captain's house for a different option, probably either my Dyna or the Road Glide, just something with a little bit more wind protection, because the true riding season has begun. It is 40 degrees right now, and we are riding far east today, so I definitely am going to opt for something that has a little bit more than a standard T-Sport fairing. You know what I mean? I want my FXRT life. I want my shark nose life for a 200 plus mile day where the temperatures are probably going to get colder. But y'all, this is what's up. The sun is rising. I'm on a legendary New York City bike. I'm feeling good. The bike is feeling good. It's still performing great. And I'm about to meet up with some solid road dogs from the Cursed crew to get some of those cursed miles and, of course, crush some of those cursed pancakes. Hell yeah! 88 cubic inches? What else do you need, brother? This man can't be stopped. He can't be stopped like Adam in a hot dog costume. Hell yeah, brother. Alright, y'all, but I got some miles to make. I got a meetup to make on time. An 8 a.m. meetup is pretty damn late in my book, so I don't want to look like a scrub showing up to that late. So I'm gonna keep it moving for now. As always, I hope you've been enjoying the content. If you do enjoy what we're doing, consider FXDLS Brooklyn/patreon.com if you want to help me make these videos quicker and more efficient. That does help me out. OutriderDemons.com for those who make miles, not excuses. ForeverCurse.com because luck is a lie. And if you enjoy this one, as always, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for riding with me, guys. My day's just getting started. I hope you enjoy your freezing cold miles. Get your heated gear dialed in, my brothers and sisters. And I'll see you later. FXDLS Brooklyn is out.
Goodbye.